Did Harley Davidson just admit it made a mistake going woke? They won't say it out loud, but their actions say everything. Harley tried to change, chasing trends, rebranded their image, and reached for a new kind of customer. But now, longtime riders are walking away. Loyal fans feel betrayed. And behind the scenes, Harley might be quietly trying to undo the damage. This isn't just a brand shift, it's a full-blown identity crisis. And in a world where being woke might win headlines but lose hearts, Harley's gamble is starting to backfire. So what really happened? And why are so many riders saying, "This isn't the Harley I grew up with"? Let's get into it. Over the past few years, Harley Davidson made a choice, and it wasn't a small tweak. It wasn't a new paint color or a slicker ad campaign. It was a full identity shift, a rebranding from the ground up. The rough, rebellious spirit that made Harley Davidson a symbol of freedom and independence started to disappear, and in its place, the company introduced polished, safe marketing designed to appeal to a corporate crowd. Harley's new campaigns focused heavily on urban living, city-based lifestyles, curated Instagram moments, and polished photo shoots that looked more like fashion ads than scenes from Sturgis or Daytona. The message wasn't freedom of the open road anymore, it became freedom to fit in. And for a lot of longtime riders, it didn't feel like an evolution. It felt like an abandonment. It wasn't just a new image, it was a break from everything Harley once stood for. Harley didn't just update its brand, it disconnected from its soul. And the riders? They noticed. Oh, they noticed. Dealerships started feeling it first. Floor traffic slowed down, the electric buzz around new model launches got quieter. Enthusiasm turned into quiet skepticism. And then came the explosion online. Forums lit up, comment sections overflowed, headlines and posts with titles like "This isn't my Harley" and "Where did the real brand go?" flooded rider communities everywhere. You could feel the frustration, the anger, and underneath it all was the heartbreak. Because for millions of riders, Harley wasn't just a brand. It wasn't just metal, rubber, and steel. It was a belief system. It was an identity. It was freedom you could park in your garage. You can modernize motorcycles all you want. You can upgrade engines, tweak frames, and bolt on touchscreens. But if you ditch the message, the spirit that brought generations together, you don't just lose sales, you lose the brotherhood. You lose Harley's real engine, the riders who kept it alive when everything else in the world tried to change. If you thought Harley's image shift was bold, wait until you see how badly it backfired. After reshaping their brand image, Harley Davidson tried to pivot. They set their sights on a younger, more progressive crowd, thinking that if they modernized their message, rebranded their image, and polished their rough edges, a whole new generation of riders would come running. But here's the catch. That crowd wasn't buying motorcycles, at least not in big numbers. And they definitely weren't buying motorcycles priced the way Harley Davidsons have always been. The average younger rider today isn't looking for a $20,000 cruiser that weighs 700 pounds, but rather looking for affordability, simplicity, flexibility, and maybe most importantly, they're looking for brands that speak their language naturally and not companies trying to force it. Meanwhile, as for the loyal base, the true backbone of Harley's success, the men and women who have been riding for decades, showing up at every rally, living the lifestyle Harley once defined, they felt shoved aside. It felt like Harley was saying, "Thanks for building the brand, but we're moving on now." And they didn't just feel ignored, they felt replaced. Because you can't talk about rebellion while scrubbing away everything that made you rebellious. You can't sell outlaw spirit while chasing boardroom approval. You can't claim to be hardcore while worrying about hashtags, buzzwords, and headline impressions. What Harley called evolution didn't feel like progress to the people who mattered most. It felt like a corporate apology tour, an endless attempt to please everyone while satisfying no one. And the fallout? It wasn't subtle. As sales targets started getting missed, market share slipped with stock prices taking a hit. And underneath all the numbers and financial reports, something even more damaging was happening, which is a brand identity crisis. The very story that made Harley powerful, the myth of the open road, the brotherhood of riders, the untamed American spirit started to unravel. And once a brand loses its story, it's a long and hard ride to get it back. One that not every company survives. Sounds dramatic, right? Just wait until you find out what Harley quietly erased from their website. After a while, something strange started happening at Harley Davidson, and it didn't take long for sharp-eyed riders to notice, as all of a sudden videos began to vanish from the official website. Promotional taglines that once proudly shouted about diversity, inclusion, and urban cool were quietly pulled down. Harley's flashy new marketing campaigns, the ones they had spent millions to push into the spotlight, were being watered down, stripped back, and in many cases, wiped out completely. And do you want to know the most surprising part? There was no big announcement, no heartfelt corporate apology, not even the dramatic "we're changing direction" press release. They didn't make a sound. They just started cleaning the house quietly and carefully, almost like they hoped no one would catch them walking it all back. But the riders noticed. And here's the truth: the numbers don't lie, and neither do the people who ride. In chasing approval from a brand new audience, Harley alienated the ones who built the company from the ground up, the ones who stood by them through the hard times, who didn't care about trendy hashtags or flashy headlines, the real riders. The ones who only cared about the rumble under their boots, the freedom of the open highway, and the brotherhood forged mile after mile. You don't have to agree with every decision Harley made. That's not the point. The point is that once a brand starts losing its connection to its loyal riders, the damage cuts deep. And you can't just rebuild that trust with a shiny ad campaign or a few buzzwords. Because what happened next wasn't loud. It wasn't angry protests. It wasn't public outrage. It was something far more dangerous for a brand like Harley Davidson. Total silence. Empty showrooms, fewer riders at dealership events. Loyalty started fading away, not all at once, but one rider at a time. And that silence, that's when Harley started feeling it. In the numbers, in the culture, and in the hollow echoes where the roar of loyalty used to be. After the silence, Harley had two choices: double down or find their way back to their roots. And what are they doing now? It's the clearest sign yet that they know exactly where they went wrong. Lately, Harley's tone has shifted again, and this time it feels different, really different. We're seeing more throwback bikes hitting the market, more stripped-down, aggressive designs that ditch the high-gloss showroom polish look and bring back that gritty, rebellious attitude Harley was built on. Less corporate polish, more rumble, more rawness. You can hear it the second you fire up the new engines. You can see it in the bold, simple lines, the classic shapes, the way these bikes look like they're meant for the open road, not for curated photo shoots or boutique windows. They're not building bikes for influencers anymore. But now they're building them for real riders, the kind who don't care about likes or followers, only miles, scars, and memories. It's almost as if Harley finally remembered that you can't be everything to everyone, but you can still be Harley to the people who actually ride. And behind the scenes, the shift is even bigger than just the bikes. Reports suggest Harley's leadership has been quietly reworking their ad strategies, rethinking how their dealerships connect with customers, and even changing how they show up at rallies and bike festivals. They're moving back into the places where real riders gather, not chasing clout, not trying to be trendy, but just showing up where the heart of the culture still beats. Quietly but steadily, Harley Davidson is trying to reconnect with its roots. They are trying to rebuild trust, not just close deals, but also trying to win back the brotherhood, not just fill out spreadsheets for the next quarterly report. Because deep down, Harley knows something most brands eventually forget, which is when you lose the people who built your legend, you lose everything. And now, the fight isn't just about boosting sales figures or grabbing headlines. It's about saving Harley's soul. You've all seen the signs, even heard the rumble growing again. But what's coming next for Harley might just shock even the most loyal riders. Because at this point, it's not just about saving a brand, it's about saving a legacy. And once a legacy starts slipping away, no amount of marketing money can buy it back. Harley Davidson was never meant to be safe. This brand wasn't born in corporate offices or polished marketing meetings. It wasn't shaped by groups of focused people trying to predict trends or by analysts measuring demographics. It was built in garages, hammered together by hand, and tested on dusty roads under open skies. It was fueled by a spirit of rebellion, by men and women who didn't follow the rules and didn't care if you approved. It wasn't about selling a lifestyle, but about living one. It wasn't about fitting in. It was about standing apart. Harley was more than just motorcycles. It was a movement. It was the sound of freedom in a world that wanted you to stay silent. It was the open road calling your name and daring you to chase it. So when the brand began to drift, when it started polishing its image, chasing approval, trying to be everything to everyone, the riders felt it immediately. They didn't just see it. They felt it deep down, like a crack in something sacred. And when real riders feel that shift, they don't protest loudly. They don't start campaigns, but rather just stop believing. They stop believing in the story. They stop believing in the brotherhood, and even stop believing that Harley Davidson still understands who they are and why they ride. As we all know, belief is a fragile thing. It takes decades to earn and just moments to lose. Now, Harley Davidson is trying to steer back. They are trying to recover what made them unstoppable, trying to roar again after years of quieting their own voice, trying to rebuild trust, not just close sales, trying to reclaim a spirit that no marketing budget can manufacture. But the road back to loyalty isn't paved. It's rough, uphill, and it's unforgiving. Because the loyalty they lost wasn't just about motorcycles. It was about identity. It was about freedom. It was about a bond that was forged in wind, in grease, in brotherhood, not in boardrooms. Here's the truth Harley has to face now. It doesn't matter what the next marketing campaign says. It doesn't matter what press release they put out. It doesn't even matter how many limited edition models they release. What matters is what the riders say. What matters is what the real believers decide when they swing a leg over that seat, fire up the engine, and ask themselves, is this still Harley? Or is it just a brand wearing Harley's skin? Because Harley Davidson isn't just a name on a gas tank, but a belief system, a heartbeat, and a covenant between freedom and the open road. And belief, I mean real belief, isn't bought. It's built, it's bled for, it's earned. And once it's broken, it's the hardest thing in the world to rebuild. The fight for Harley's soul isn't happening in boardrooms. It's happening right now out there, on the asphalt, in the wind, and the miles that still separate the believers from the brand. So now I want to hear from you. Has Harley lost its way for good? Or is there still a chance to bring it back to what it was meant to be? Drop a comment below and tell me your truth. Whether you're still loyal, you've walked away, or you're just watching from the sidelines. Every voice matters and every rider has a story. Because at the end of the day, Harley's future isn't just about the bikes, it's about the people who believe in the ride. And that includes you.